Hey everybody, Doug here. Welcome back to the channel. In the living room today, you can see we got this drywall all up. It still needs to be mudded and taped. And I decided to work on a little project here. I was working on the drywall for this wall that goes out to our little sunroom here from the living room. And I noticed that this trimmer stud here was really bowed in and not working very well for my drywall. I wasn't happy at all with the way that the drywall was going to run along here. It would have to dive back about a ½ inch back to this top plate and really put a bend on it. And that wasn't happy with the way that that would make our trim look when we go to put our header or our top trim and our casings in there. Everything would be a little wonky. So I thought, you know what, I got to pull these French doors anyway. These French doors here were on the house when we bought it. I'm thinking they're probably pretty much original, although this sunroom was an add-on. But the glass is cool. It's got kind of a wave to it. It's got kind of a vintage look. We're going to paint these doors. We're going to refinish these doors, sand them all down, make them pretty again, do a little bit of repair here and there. And so I had to pull this jamb anyway. And they had kind of done some weird stuff. This jamb just came to here, and it really needs to come out flush to the drywall on both sides, so that, you know, when you put the casings on, everything overlaps properly. And so the jamb they had in here wasn't going to work because this used to be exterior. This profile here is the old diagonal run subsiding that you can see from in here. And incidentally, when we tore this wall out, we saw this Nola and Byron's house. We have no idea who Nola and Byron are. We have no idea how old this is, when that was written, but we had to add Doug and Jody's house, 2019. We thought we'd add a date for the next person to rip this wall out down the road. And we just thought we'd kind of continue that tradition. But anyway, you can see this subsiding. And so this used to be outside part of the house before they added this sunroom in here. So yeah, I'm going to replace this trimmer stud because it's supporting this whole header up here, which is supporting like 4 joists of the roof joists, and it's bent. It's got this big huge knot here. I'm sorry about that light. That's really messing with the camera. It's got this big knot. It's kind of weak. It's bent. I'm just going to pull that out, put up a temporary stud in midsection here. We're going to add some screws into that king stud. We're going to kind of beef this up a little bit, and then I'll buy some wider jamb stock and rip that down the table saw so that it goes out to the edge of the new drywall on this side and to the edge of this drywall here so that the jamb looks proper. I'll remortise for the hinges for that door over there, and then we'll get those reinstalled as we get this flooring done and everything else. So, but when I pulled this jamb, and they had this weird threshold here, and kind of this floor here in the sunroom, this is just painted 3/4 inch subply that I've added, and we're going to have to get these two floors level to each other for a nice even transition because we want the hardwoods to come from the entryway that we've already done. So we've got this engineered oak flooring that's going to flow into this room, flow into the sunroom, into the kitchen area, down this hallway, and into this bedroom. So this whole area is going to be the same flooring. So I got to get this all on an even transition. So I pulled this angled, after we pulled out these jambs, which are sitting over here. These are the jambs that we pulled out. And then I pulled up that transition strip that we had there, only to find that the previous owner, when they set that transition strip, they just took a big chisel and just chiseled out, made kind of a rabbit joint to drop these joists down. But I mean, that really weakened the joists where they sit on this rim joist here. And so I'm going to cut all these out back to probably to this joist here, and replace all of these. So we've got, solid, 2x stock going all the way up, resting on this joist here, and then coming back and splitting on this joist here. So these will all get cut out and replaced. That's what I'm going to be working on now. I'm just going to plunge cut, remove that, pull all these boards up, throw a piece of plywood over there just as a safe place to step over it. And then tomorrow I got to go to the lumber store and get some 2x6s to kind of rebuild this floor section so that this is all nice and solid and we don't have holes in it. And we know that it's supported properly before we put down our 3/4 inch subfloor on top of this, which will come up to meet this 3/4 inch hardwood. This is all oak flooring here. That'll just get sanded down flat, and then our 3/4 will come to there. Then we can come over the top of all that with our new engineered floor, and we'll be all set to go. So yeah, this is going to need some repair work here. I'm going to have to do some trimming on this drywall. I'm going to have to replace these jambs. Anyway, that's what we're kind of working on right now, just continuing with the living room, getting this French door problem addressed properly so that it looks pretty and is nice and solid and done properly, and getting ready to get this floor, subfloor down and get everything leveled up and ready to run the new hardwoods. But it's coming along, and we're really excited about how it's all coming together. It's starting to look like a real room again. Getting this old bent up, knotted trimmer stud out was no easy task. All this old subsiding that used to be outside, exterior I should say, this is nailed into this all along the way, plus this trimmer was nailed into this king stud. So I had a lot of nails to find and cut, because if I would have just tried to rip this out with a crowbar, it would have just tore all this up. It would have tore up my drywall, my finished drywall that's already been done on the other side of this wall, and it would have made a real mess. So I had to kind of just take my time, do some surgery, and get that out in one piece without ripping everything apart. Now they got this old trimmer taken out. First I put in this, I jammed this kind of a temporary stud. I do have this top plate all screwed to this beam, this header here, and also into the king studs, but just as a precaution, just even though it's not going to be out long, before I get this trimmer put back in, I did jam a stud in here really tight, a temporary, to kind of hold that header in place. So now I got to measure and cut a piece and get that new trimmer put in there. So you can see this stud bows out way past this one. It's way proud of this stud, and I want my drywall to screw to this stud and lay out nice and flat so that my trim comes down flat and it's not kicked at an angle. So what I'm doing is I'm putting my squeeze clamps on here, and you can see, watch as I squeeze this, you can see this kind of pull in, and not perfect, but it's way better. It's like maybe a 1/16 proud now, and before it was probably 3/16 anyway. So I'll pop a screw in here. About where my clamps So to keep that from moving around, I can pull this temporary out now because that header ain't gonna drop now. Put a backer block on my drywall on this side to keep it from crashing my drywall. Keep those from moving as I take my clamps off. That's not bad at all now. So all this, all the ends of these that I cut off, everything looks really good. I don't see any holes, bug damage, rot, dry rot, anything like that. This joist looks nice and clean as you could expect for being 60 plus years old anyway. And everything looks pretty good down on this joist here. I'll probably spray it with boric hair solution just to or make it bug proof, carpenter ant, beetle and termite proof into the future, as well as kill any type of spores or wood rot spores that might be in the wood, just as a safety precaution. It's already open, might as well make sure it's good for another 100 years. Not bad for a 62-year-old house. We do have a little gap in the middle there because I would say it's dropping on that 6-foot level about 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16. And we know this floor has a little bit of a dip in it just because of the natural sag of these 2x10 joists over all these years. A lot of weight of the floor, furniture, whatever, over all these years. And they are spanning close to 14 feet. So we got a little drop. We're going to put a beam under the joist running this way with some posts and pier blocks under there. And that'll make this whole section through here supported better. It'll take any springiness out from when you're walking on it. And it's not bad now. And we're still going to add another 3/4 inch plywood sheathing before the hardwood. So it's going to get another almost 1.5 inches more of meat up here that's going to tie everything together, make it a little bit stronger. But that way this span isn't going from 14 feet all the way across this room. It'll go 7 feet to center, 7 feet to here with a beam and some support posts down below. You could jump up and down here, not get any flex or deflection at all. And it'll just make it a better install, and it'll make our hardwoods that much better going down as well. I do have this board here that you can see some damage. I can't tell if it's old bug damage. I think it's just a cracked up, crappy board that they put in there. I'll probably come back, maybe 2 more joists back into here, make a cut the T&G out, pull that board up, and put in a new one there. Unfortunately, I've got some 2x6s here, but unfortunately, I can't just, cut it to length and drop it in because although these are 2x6s, technically, that includes the T&G. So the groove or the tongue on the one side makes it into a 2x6, or in other words, 1.5 by 5.5. Right now they're only 5 inches wide on the reveal on what you can see. So I do have to take these and rip these down to 5 inches to get them to fit up in here. I'm not worried about it over here so much because I don't care if the lines line up with all these joints. I'll just have to probably cut one smaller one in on one side or the other to get it to fill in the final gap. But kind of like I did over here. We used 2x6s here, and these are the 5.5s, but these filled into here, and then we just cut in a 1 incher or whatever it was, 1.5 inch over here to fill in this last little spoke, and probably do something similar over here.